What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It is 1TS Daily live right here at One True Sport. How's it going? I'm your host, Zack Heydorn from Brass Ring Media and Sports Illustrated. Pumped to be here. We got quite a show, lots to get to, and pumped to have you all joining me. I am on the go, as Amy says here in the live chat. Amy says, woohoo, we got Zach on the go. Yes, it is Tuesday. Usually I am out and about on Tuesdays, and this week is no different. But pumped to be here. And Amy, thanks so much for joining in live. Glad to have you here. And hello to everybody else who is watching live on YouTube. If you are, do me a favor and hit that little like button down at the bottom. Really helps us out a lot in terms of growing the show, growing the brand, doing our thing. It helps us out more than you know. So hit that like button. If you're listening and watching on Twitter, hello to you as well. Thanks so much for being here. Appreciate it. We're live with the show every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, around 11 Eastern or thereabouts, depending on the situation and what the day calls for, I guess. But thank you for being here as well. We've got a lot to get to. And this show, if it's your first time checking us out, if you're sampling us on Twitter or elsewhere, we talk about the big news of the day. We talk about the big news of the week. We preview shows. We review shows. I try to make this show like a one-stop shop for a quick 25, 30-minute hitter on what's happening in pro wrestling to start your day. And that's the goal of this thing. So don't miss it. We're live every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday for that specific purpose. And today we're going to cover last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. We'll talk about that. We'll preview NXT and also, get to some fun news stories and discuss kind of other happenings around the world of professional wrestling. But let's start with Monday Night Raw. If you watched Raw, real quick, let me just say this. The live chat's open. I've got the live chat open for you guys to jump in there and make some comments. I've got the super chats open as well. If you want me to make sure that I read your comment or see your comment or get it up on the screen, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Leave me a super chat. That's always a big help, a big way to help the show, big way to help me out. So leave that. If you just want to chat in the live chat, that's great too. I do monitor that as we go along here. So if there's a topic you want me to get to or a comment you want to make on something that I've already discussed, drop it in there and we'll go back and forth and make it happen. My favorite part of the whole show is for nearly 100 episodes now we've done this thing. And my favorite part is definitely, chatting with you guys. So keep those coming. All right. Last night's episode of Raw. What did everybody think of the show? I thought it was a pretty good show, top to bottom. Not super newsworthy outside of the fact that we have a new Intercontinental Champion. Bron Breakker wins the Intercontinental Championship from Jey Uso in the main event. Not without controversy, not without shenanigans. You had the new Bloodline faction, Solo Sikoa, Jacob Fatu, Tama Tonga, and Tonga Loa get involved and essentially cost Jey Uso the title. They come in, they distract, and all of a sudden, Jey Uso is not the IC champion, and the business that he wanted to stay out of, he is now in the middle of, and that is with the new Bloodline. So here's where I'm at. I'm seeing some interesting comments on this that we'll get to in a second here. We'll get to them right now before I reveal kind of my thoughts. Andrew says, overbooked mess, sir. Metal says, it was a good show, but very baffling end to the Bron Jey match. So yeah, I think it's going to be polarizing. I think that they had a definite goal in mind with the match, and it wasn't even so much, hey, we got to get the title back on Bron Breakker. To me, like, the goal of this match was, we are going to build a narrative and a storyline as to why and how Jey gets back in with the old Bloodline faction. And I think that the idea here is, Jay needs them. Jay needs them because eventually the new Bloodline's going to infiltrate him too. They did here. They cost him the title. And now Jay needs to join the team, Team Roman, Team Jimmy, in order to fight them back. That was the mission. That was the mission. And I think they accomplished that mission in terms of getting there. Like Jay always was going to need a reason to join Roman Reigns again. I mean, he needed to have a good one. I mean, Roman Reigns made his life a living hell for years. And so you had to get him in a position where, okay, like it makes sense for these guys to move forward together as one, and they got there. Now, I do think the execution was a little bit messy yesterday, a lot messy. I thought that having Bron Breakker, like the heel in the match, as the guy who's going to stand up to and kind of stare down Jacob Fatu, it's like, well, that's counterproductive. I mean, Bron's the heel, and not to mention, in like 5 minutes after that, he used the Bloodline's help to win the match. So I didn't love the execution there. It didn't paint, Jey Uso as super sympathetic for whatever reason. It just didn't come across to me that way once Bron, stood up to the Bloodline like that. I also think that, look, I've said this on this show for weeks and weeks now, the new Bloodline faction just isn't credible enough. Like in that match or in last night, Solo Sikoa goes down with one little spear that looked like a clothesline. I mean, he didn't look menacing at all. He looked silly. He looked, like in over his head as far as, the presence that he's supposed to have as the leader of this new group. Fatu is better, much better in that regard, but he's not the leader. He's not the guy. And so, like, I think he's the one that has the presence. He's the one that has the charisma, and he's not the guy that they're painting as the leader of this whole thing. And I think that really hurts, the ability for Jay to, come across as somebody who desperately needs the help of Roman Reigns and Jimmy Uso. It just seems to me that, Jay should be able to take this faction out and beat Solo Sikoa pretty definitively and easily. But that's not the story that they're telling. So they have to work better to get to get Solo Sikoa and that faction in a place that's more menacing. That's important. If they don't have that, like this big reunion storyline that they're telling with the old Bloodline faction, yeah, they can land that plane for sure, but there won't be this like kind of boiling point and momentum of like, all right, finally, like the faction that can take down these guys is back together. It's like, yeah, they're gonna be back together, but they're pretty easy faction to beat anyway. So I think they have that hurdle to jump through, and I don't think last night really helped to that end. So yes, they did what they needed to do. They gave Jay a reason to hook up with Roman and Jimmy again. But no, it wasn't. It was not supremely effective, in terms of how they did it. Let's go to the boss. The boss says to stare down with Bron and Jacob. The feels, man. So here's the thing. Like, yeah, that was a cool moment. Like that was a cool moment in the match, and it got a big reaction, no question about it. How do I put this? Because I liked the moment. I thought it was a good moment, but the moment didn't help, the match. It didn't help the overall goal. It just kind of was there. I almost think that like WWE wasn't necessarily expecting that moment to be what it was, because to me, it like just took everybody out of like the whole narrative that they're trying to tell. Like all of a sudden you get this like babyface Bron Breakker guy who's, standing up to big bad Jacob Fatu, when that should be Jay. That should be Jay. That's his spot. And Breakker kind of took it as the heel in the match. So yeah, I mean, so yes, it was cool. And yes, it gave you the feels, but I don't think it was very effective in like the overall kind of story arc of what they were trying to do. Andrew H says the wise man is coming, and says the match was a complete storytelling device. Yeah, which I definitely agree. Sam Squatch here jumps in and says Jay should have held the title a bit longer, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't champion for very long, and it seems like now that we know where this all went, you know, the title win was pretty much there so he could lose it, and kind of complete this chapter of the story with his return to the bloodline. So yeah, as Andrew said, a storytelling mechanism without question. As far as Bron Breakker goes and all this, and thanks so much, Sam Squatch. As far as Bron Breakker goes and all this, he's a talented guy, that WWE absolutely has to pay attention to right now. The, you know, he is their future in a lot of ways. And because he's the future, I'm surprised and continue to be surprised at how little focus his character has. I mean, he clearly has charisma. He's a guy right now that when he's on the microphone or when he's in the ring working, you're watching him. He has a presence like that. So he can command your attention that way. But the character itself is kind of all over the place. And I don't think fans really know how to feel about him straight up. They react to him, but do they feel a certain way? Are you supposed to like him or are you supposed to not like him? I don't think fans know. In one hand, he's beating up their favorite in Jey Uso. So no. But then on the other hand, he's standing up to, top heel guy in Jacob Fatu in the same match. So it's totally all over the place. He talks a heel game about Jey Uso, but then asks everybody where's his dogs at, right? Like it's just all over the place, and I just think you need to find a lane for him. You want people to feel a certain way, and they don't right now. And I think that hurts him overall. I think he could play either role. I think he could play the heel. I think he can play babyface right now. Either way, I think there's interest there. But they got to pick one and go with it for a while instead of straddling that line. Andrew says the super spear is a stupid name for his finisher. Yeah, it is. And not to mention the fact that like way too many people are doing the spear. Like Roman's doing it, Jay's doing it, Breakker's doing it. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody else. Like just it's Roman's thing at this point. I don't even think Jay should be using it. It makes a little bit more sense with him because he's got the connection to Roman, but like figure something else out. Figure something else out for Breakker. My 2 cents. Let's see here. Bron, the boss says Bron is pulling what Scott did. Cheap pop monster heel. Scott Steiner, I'm assuming. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's true. I didn't think about that connection, but yeah, I think that does make a lot of sense. Yeah. But the thing is, he's not a monster heel though. That's the problem. Like he's not aligned as a monster heel at this point. So they got to define that. And that's my overall point. Like just define that part of it. And I think Breakker would be better off one way or the other. I think he'd be much better off. All right. Also on the show last night, it opened up with a big time brawl segment with what am I trying to say here? Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins. I liked this to open the show. I thought this was a good way to open the show. I thought, the big wild backstage brawl stuff, like, boy, it can do really well when it's done appropriately and effectively and efficiently. And this really was like this I thought had intensity behind it. You felt like both guys really hated each other. Seth Rollins in particular, I thought showed a ton of fire as far as, trying to match the level of Reed's intensity and that he really wanted to get at this guy. So I thought that they both played it well. Now they're going to wrestle at Crown Jewel. I think this is like just a standard crown jewel match. Like, I have a question about who they booked to go over, because I think you can make the argument either way. I think it's probably going to be Seth, but they've done a nice job presenting Reed as Seth's equal or near to Seth's equal, and they've really given Seth Rollins a hill to climb, and I think that's very positive. When you talk about Reed specifically and where he was in the company just a few months ago compared to right now, and a lot of that does rest on Seth's shoulders. So I like this. They can't do it every week. They can't do these every week, but as long as they use them effectively, then I think you're totally in fine shape. Also on the show, you had two tag team not title matches, but two tag team tournament matches, because shocker, they're doing a tournament to crown new number one contenders for the tag team titles. You had New Day against Authors of Pain, and New Day won that one. And then you had Dragon Lee and Rey Mysterio against the Creed brothers. Dragon Lee and Mysterio won that one. So a decent matchup there, New Day and Mysterio and Dragon Lee. I like that tag team quite a bit. I think it's a good tag team. It's kind of weird that they haven't gone to it, just because their styles are so similar. And frankly, like, I think you can get a lot more out of Dragon Lee. Like, and he needs an opportunity to prove whether or not he can deliver, and Ray, he's got so much equity with the audience that you can use him to help get Dragon Lee over. And I think that's on the horizon here. If they really want to put emphasis on this tag team, I think Ray can help get Dragon Lee over. As far as the New Day stuff with AOP, I'm surprised we didn't get like a more significant chapter in the Xavier Woods Kofi Kingston storyline. Maybe that's going to be next week where we get that and get like more of a definitive step forward in Xavier Woods, like fully going heel. This match just kind of ended with R-Truth, of all people, getting involved and helping the New Day win. So yeah, more there. I don't know how much more time WWE has to like tease the breakup between Kingston and Woods and not deliver on it. Like, if they're thinking that this can be like a WrestleMania match, I think they're nuts, frankly. Like, they just don't have enough there to go with at this point to get there. So people have to care about this when the time comes. Like, they've got to care about these guys and about the story, and they can't be sick of it already by the time it happens. So you got to capitalize on interest. And to me, that means striking earlier rather than later. Wyatt Six are back. They are positioned already just right opposite the Final Testament faction. This is the exact right spot for them. I'm thrilled that we're seeing the Wyatt Six occupy that slot against Final Testament. The worst thing for them is to try to parade that group around at the main event level, like opposite Gunther or, I don't know, Seth or somebody like that. They don't belong up there. They don't belong up there. And so they have to find things for the faction to do in the middle of the card. And I think that's not a negative. It's a positive. Like, the Wyatt Six got a big reaction last night, and they got, people care about them. And so, man, you give your middle of the card a ton of depth when you can add that faction there. They're just not main event level. They're not a faction that's going to be going after championships. And that's what you need your main eventers to do. This is different, and it should be in a different part of the card. And I think they've hit the sweet spot with that. So thumbs up to how Wyatt Six have been used to this point. Look, yes, you can make arguments for them going up the card, but it just doesn't make sense for them. Like, that's something that caught Bray Wyatt, was the fact that you're putting him up against these other top talents and it's not mixing because he was so different. This is the same exact thing. And it feels like Paul Levesque learned something from which Vince McMahon didn't learn, which was how to book something like this. All right, so that's Raw. That's Raw. We will move now to a little bit of news talk, and then we'll preview NXT quickly here. So AEW yesterday, and I'm so curious as to your thoughts on this, guy. So drop it in the chat now. AEW last night during Raw made a big announcement. Jon Moxley is going to be on the show on Dynamite this week, and a graphic to go along with it that said, "Warning." Jon Moxley to appear on Dynamite. I chatted with some of you guys about this on Twitter yesterday, and you guys made compelling arguments for sure. I don't like it. I don't like an announcement like that. I'm sitting there saying to myself, like, hey, wait a minute. Like, Jon Moxley's at war with your company. He's trying to murder people on your pay-per-views. And said company is like building promo graphics for him and hyping him to be a part of the show. Like, I just think that undercuts the story deeply. Deeply undercuts the story that Moxley is this kind of rogue character that is in open rebellion of the company. Like, I think you have to be careful with how you feature him and how you promote him. I think that there's a way to do it where you don't just promote it like you're promoting any other star. Like, you could still promote it differently, like tease it or allude to it, or put out a video where Moxley is, I don't know, talking about how he's going to be on Raw or be on Dynamite, and he's not allowed to be, but he is anyway. He's going to be anyway. Like something that goes along with the the new Moxley character. I think fits this better than just a normal, Sammy Guevara is going to be on Dynamite. It has to be different. And I think fans need to give them latitude here, because really anything Moxley does at this point on AEW is a little crazy when you think about it. Like, he should be in jail. He shouldn't be allowed in AEW anymore based on what he did. So you have to give them a little latitude. But there's latitude, and then there's just ineffective storytelling. And I think promoting him the way that they did last night with the graphic and all that is impacting their ability to tell the story in a negative way. So clean it up, AEW. Andrew H., who is said person that I was chatting with about this last night, says, Mox runs the place. Didn't you watch last week? Yes, Andrew, I did. He thinks he runs it. He thinks he runs it, but everybody knows he doesn't actually run it, at least at this point. So that's the nuance. That's why you have to call it out. And then Andrew says here, okay, real question. Difference with the Elite attacking the owner? No difference. I thought I had the same gripes about that angle that I do this one. So, I can be consistent in my criticism with that. So there you go, Andrew. No, that deserved the same criticism, and I don't think it got enough of it, to be frank. All right, over to NXT tonight. On NXT, we've got a lot on the table. Io Sky and Kairi Sane are going to face Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. Julia and Stephanie Verker will face two members of Fatal Influence. Obafemi and Luca Crucifino are going to wrestle in a one-on-one match. Tatum Paxley is going to wrestle Jada Parker. And, hey, Cole Custer from the NASCAR Xfinity Series playoffs is going to be on the show as well. So, Halloween Havoc, it's a go-home show. They've been putting a lot behind. Did I freeze? Am I back now, guys? Hopefully I didn't freeze. Am I back? Okay, good. I'm back. Woo! I don't want to freeze. We got a good group watching today, and I don't want to freeze it for you guys. Yeah. NXT Halloween Havoc. This is the go home show tonight for the Halloween Havoc PLE, which is on Sunday. As I mentioned yesterday, we'll preview Halloween Havoc in full right here on Friday. So we're going to preview Halloween Havoc on Friday. We'll also preview TNA Bound for Glory on Friday right here on 1TS Daily. So don't miss that. As far as tonight goes, it's a bit of a weak go-home show, I must say. Like, I think the show needs, obviously it needs a promo from Trick Williams. Like, that's important. I think we'll get that. You have Obafemi and Tony D'Angelo in a rematch for the North American Championship, and so I think we'll get like final build for that match, like inside of whatever's going to happen with Obafemi and Crucifino. You've got Stephanie Vaquer and Julia in a match together, so they have got an ability to put any final stamp that they need to on that match that they're going to have with Cora Jade and Roxanne Perez. So the pieces are there if you break down the card. The issue is like the card doesn't scream like, hey, you must watch me right now. That's the problem. So I don't know. I don't expect this show to do like gangbuster ratings, like NXT did a couple weeks ago. But they do have an avenue to get the job done. I'm curious about the women's tag team match, like the Damage Control against Lash Legend, and oh god, I just forgot her. Jakar Jackson, sorry. They've been teasing and feuding on television for a couple weeks here, and so they've got a little bit of a rivalry going. Kairi Sane and Io Sky are very good opponents for Lash Legend and Jackson to work with. I think this could be a really good match and is likely going to be the best match that Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson have had in their careers. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they do and to seeing if they can step up their game, like against like a top team like Sky and Kairi Sane. So interesting show in that regard. But you just don't have the big name star power that the show had a couple weeks ago, and it's not going to have it every week. So I think this is going to be another one of those like water level shows for NXT. All right, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Fun show. Loved the interaction with you guys. To everybody who's checked us out, that's new here. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it. We're live with the show 1TS Daily every single day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 11 Eastern, talking the news of the day in pro wrestling. So be here. Put a little reminder in your phone. Hey, 1TS, One True Sport on YouTube. Don't miss it. Subscribe so you know when we're live. Turn your notifications on so you get that update and be here. Cool. You can check out more of my work at Brass Ring Media. That's my shop of where we kind of cover pro wrestling. I think we take our little niches like more of a longer form analysis of the professional wrestling industry. So we've got a YouTube channel. That's where we have all of our live shows. We're live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're live. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday with shows. You can get those on YouTube. You can also get those as podcasts. You can download us as a podcast and subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. We are there. Just search Brass Ring Media. We also have all of our written work on Substack. That's free too. So Brass Ring Media Substack is all that you need to search. Will be the first thing that comes up. We've got show reviews there and features and editorials and interviews, all sorts of cool stuff that you can find there. So definitely like check that out. I think you guys would like it if you like this show. Jump in there. It's totally free to do so, both on YouTube and on Substack. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, hit that like button. It helps us out big time, helps us grow the show, and I thank you in advance for that. You can follow me on social media at Zack_Heydorn, ZACK_HEYDORN. I hope you guys all do. Thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful Tuesday, and we'll see you tomorrow right here at 1TS Daily live on One True Sport YouTube. Talk to you soon. Have a wonderful day. See ya.